Here's a cool new feature for Farming Simulator 25.
Is fit for his age, kind-hearted, and full of stories. His son left for a city career. Good for you. The farm is your farm now. Ask him about the history of the family, like his foolish brother and his failed sugar beet stand. Or let Walter share some wholesome farming wisdom with you.
One bad harvest does not define you as a farmer, just as one twister does not define a season.
Here's a cool new feature for Farming Simulator 25.
Your neighbor David is a different kind of farmer. Not the smartest, but he means well.
Hey, would you offer massages and other wellness treatments on your farm?
He'll tell you why he fled the city and what's different about the way of life. Let him share advice based on his agricultural failures, but ignore his kitchen philosophy about being trapped in a simulation. It's nonsense.
Hey everybody, Scroft here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing really well. Normally I like to do these videos on a Friday, and I call them the FS25 Friday update. Normally we get the fact sheet Fridays as well, but we've had a lot of information. I've been sent quite a bit of information this week. I've held it off on the first few little snippets, which is about the NPCs we're going to get. I'm thinking, no, I'll wait for Friday for that and we'll condense it all. But today I've actually got some more information about some really cool stuff that I'm actually pretty excited about, because I do like a start from scratch kind of like series, or even just play through. You know, that's the way I like to start off, from just genuinely playing myself. I think some of these things we've kind of been teased as well, especially at FarmCon, but now we've found a bit more information out, and it's about construction buildings and actually building your own farmhouses and barns. So I'm going to go into that in a second, but we'll start off quickly with the NPCs, and I'll tell you the information I've got on that. I will be honest, it's a little bit of a strange one at the moment, so I'm kind of torn 50-50. I do like the idea of it. I think it's a great foundation for what they're trying to bring in, but the general gist of it, if no one's actually seen, I know a lot of other content creators kind of put stuff out yesterday for it, and the day before. We actually got two snippets of information. We got two characters. One's the grandpa, and then there's another one called David. Yeah, we were given an embargo for kind of like Tuesday evening and then Wednesday evening. So I'm making this video on Thursday for the next bit of information that I've said to you about this, the embargo's for. But we're going to condense it all. But yeah, the main gist of it is we're going to get NPCs. They're going to be a small assemble of non-playable characters. So I just want to make that clear. It's non-playable characters. So true NPCs. They will be available to approach. They will provide small talk, contract missions, and tutorial help based on their representative field of expertise. Now, we have been teased that before. I think in the last blog that I read on the channel, which was the goat one, let's be honest, super cringy. The jokes were just a little bit too far on the cringe side for me, but I didn't mind it. It didn't make sense as well at times, because they were kind of saying that, you know, you could speak to this lady. I think her name might have been Katie or something, I forget the name now, and she might know more, but you haven't met her yet. And I was really confused with that. I know we've had some people say, you know, this could mean NPCs, and you're bang on. I think there's definitely a couple on that video that said about NPCs, so yeah, shout out to you guys, you got that one bang on. But yeah, we're going to get these NPCs, and each one has its own expertise that you can approach. Now, I don't know if they're static. I don't know if they're just like this grandpa just sitting outside his house all day and he stands in one spot and you talk to him. I don't know if they kind of move around the map. It'd be nice to think that they do, but I don't know any of that stuff yet. Even the way they've actually done it, Giants, is they've just released two 25-second videos, one on the grandpa, one on the David, with a little bit of information in each. I've put them at the start of the video, so you've just seen them yourself. Go back and, you know, delve into them two 25-second videos, because you'll learn a lot more by doing it. But the only actual information is what I've just read to you, that they're going to be a small assemble of non-playable characters that will be available to approach. They will provide small talk, contract missions, and tutorial help based on their representative field of expertise. And they want to make it clear this is not a story mode. It adds to the liveliness of the towns, maybe add some silliness too. That's what we got. So yeah, not a story mode, so there won't be kind of like missions or quests and so to speak. They will hand out kind of like contract missions that we've already got in the game, but no kind of quest or story mode that it says. So I don't know. This is why I'm torn on it, because it's like, they're just going to be people that we can basically exhaust the dialogue, and then as soon as they've exhausted the dialogue, that's it. They're just going to repeat themselves. It does remind me of Fallout in a way. Like even this shot that I've paused on here, it reminds me of Fallout. It's got that kind of vibe, but they're not giving out quests, they're not giving out missions and stuff. They're just providing with information. So just providing small talk, random facts around the map, bits and bobs we can learn maybe for like collectibles and some of this construction stuff as well. That does feel like more of a mission than anything. So I do like the idea of that, but we have seen that on kind of like the Silver Run Forest, I think it was called. And we've also seen little bits and bobs like that on Sri Lanka, but I think more on the Platinum expansion that we had for FS22. But they are really going into that this time. We'll get into that in a second. And it's some really good stuff. Like I actually think I'm I have to say like that's something that I have to take my hat off for with Giants. It does sound really interesting, and I'm eager to try it out. But yeah, they do say they're trying to add to the liveliness of the town. So there's people that we can interact with, talk to. We can visualize these people as NPCs, but we can also verbalize what they're saying to us, and we can hear that back. So we get some kind of feedback, and it does obviously enhance, the liveliness of the area that we're in. These two maps, especially the Asia map and the new US map. Fair play to them. It's just a shame they don't do more. I guess it's just a starting point. Hopefully, could mean that modders can get their hands on it. You never know. It might be nice to think that we could put some NPCs within the map, maybe with some custom dialogue or something. I don't know if that's available. Some things like that can be locked, and modders can't actually get their hands on stuff like that. I know currently like pedestrians, the way they look and stuff like that. That's usually, I think, you can't actually gain access to that, so they all look the same. So I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully, though, fingers crossed, it could be something that modders might be able to customize themselves for their maps. But yeah, we've had Grandpa Walter, we've had David. I won't go into the two characters as in detail because you can watch it and kind of gauge for yourself. But Grandpa Walter's got all this kind of like history behind him. He had a farm, his son's moved off and doing his own thing, and you now own the farm, and he's there to kind of hand out wisdom to you, offer some advice here and there. And then David's a strange one. I don't know. I actually don't know what he's kind of offering. I think you kind of turn up to his house, I believe, as a failed farmer from the past. He can hand out advice of how his farm maybe went down, but he's on about like selling like health products and do you do massage? It's a bloody weird one. I'm just saying it now, right? I don't know what Giants... I just don't get that. I don't. It's a strange one. The David thing is a bloody strange one. So... I don't know. I'll let you decide for yourself. Put in the comment section what you think about that. But I imagine he's there just to kind of offer advice and certain things. Maybe it's some kind of, who knows, maybe it's some kind of production or something. But it's just, we need more information really for that one. But Grandpa Walter, I get the idea of that. He's kind of like this old figure within the community, got a load of wisdom, can help you out, talks about the tornadoes and stuff like that. I know from the information we're going to get in a second about the construction kind of missions, he does have some kind of advice about that. So that'll be, in regards to providing small talk and so on. But it is interesting. I like the idea of him putting NPCs in. I think it's really cool. It's just a shame they can't hand out kind of missions. I think that's the thing that I would have really wanted to see. It's not a story mode as well, which is a shame from someone that loves the role play, loves kind of playing that kind of story mode and telling a story. I would have liked to have seen something, even if it was just a very short one, even if it's just like 10 hours long or something, hats off to Giants for putting it in. Let's just hope it gets a little bit better eventually, or we get more information. Right, so we're moving on now to something a lot more interesting, which is the blog that's being previewed right now about constructions, town projects, and collectibles. So yeah, let's read through it because it's some really interesting stuff. I'll throw some pictures up along the way so you can see in better detail. Obviously, the blog that I get is kind of like a screenshot of it, really long. I mean, I can zoom out so you can see how I get it. That's pretty much how I get it, and all the content creators get it. So I just zoom in to read it, and it's not cut off. So I do appreciate the Giants do it like this, but if I try and zoom in to get it full screen, you can see that it goes a little bit blurry. So I just try and zoom out a little bit so it's better, but I'll throw up the pictures as we go through. But let's start reading through it. Farmers who are particularly dedicated and involved in their town's community will find a wealth of new building opportunities in Farming Simulator 25. Whether you just want to start a profitable side business or want to make a lasting mark on the region, let's take a look at some new construction projects. Make nice things. In addition to production chains where you produce bread or cakes in the bakery, flour in the grey mill, or canned goods in the soup factory, there are some very special repeatable constructions. Do you remember the piano maker in Sri I do, and I have to say, it felt pretty pointless to me, and that's just my opinion. I don't know if anyone's going to share that, but it did. It felt pretty pointless because you put kind of just wood in. There was nothing else to it. You just went and did some logging, put it into this kind of piano maker. Next thing, you just got this piano out, and yeah, it just seemed a little bit strange. I felt like we need to be more hands-on with that. So that's just my opinion on that one. Hopefully the next ones are going to be a bit better, which I think they are. So not only will the artisan workshop for finely crafted pianos make a comeback and open branches outside its hometown in Riverbend Springs or Hutan Pantai, if you want to invest in their expansion to new territories, but there are other new businesses awaiting for your involvement. So the first one's going to be Historic Wagon Builder. Now this does look pretty good because I'm hoping we can attach to them and drive them to the sell point. You know, I'd say that's my criticism with everything else. You don't want it to just look like it's been put in a package and then you're just hauling a box around. So I like the idea of having these historical wagons that hopefully that we can, like I said, attach to. Established in Riverbend Springs in 1904, Silver Shaft Wagons still produces some very fancy horse wagons, requiring wooden boards as well as fabrics and rope to build one wagon. So they're obviously the ingredients we're going to need for the production. The final product is a love letter to craftsmanship and profitable for you. So, yeah. But basically, these are the pictures. I'll throw them up now in kind of like full screen so you can see them. You can see the actual wagon. And then there's like a Manitou on the side. Looks like he's delivering some kind of planks or beams of some sort. They've definitely been processed. It's like processed wood of some sorts. Then we've got the wagon. You can see it's nicely structured. It's that 3-tier building that we've seen before. And you can see it inside the workshop as well, so it's detailed like that, which they did mention at FarmCon, that they tried to make it feel a bit more immersive in that sense, that it's not just an open building that's empty, which we've seen quite a few times in FS games. So I like the fact they've put a bit of detail into it, more than normal anyway, which is nice to see. And then you've got this final wagon picture. But can't see any hitch right now, but I just think if you can drive them, if they've not done that, for me, they've missed a trick, because I think a lot of people would like to see that. So we've also got the Playground Maker. What's a town without a playground and a playground without toys? Think of the kids. Then help to construct some wooden toy tractors for the local playground in Riverbend Springs by delivering planks and boards. So again, it gives you another reason to go out logging. You can do something with this wood now instead of just selling it. You can take it to these two places. One's for the wagons, and then obviously one's for like a toy maker. And again, I'll throw up the picture so you can see the workshop straight away. A lot of detail to it. Not bad at all. An outside picture of that little workshop, and then you've got someone, looks like they're doing it in third person there. I don't know if that's like an NPC. It could be an NPC at that place, and you talk to them and they tell you what they need and so on, and you see it's changing over time. You can see, if you're like activating that kind of production, let's say, or construction mission, then yeah, you can see that things change. You come back, there's like this, looks like a little John Deere wooden tractor, and it's starting to kind of be built. And then you can see it as a close-up here as well. Looks like it's got a trailer on the back. So that's pretty much the two kind of things that have fallen under the idea you can make nice things. But now we're moving on to this make monuments. So Riverbend Springs and Hutan Pantai feature even bigger construction projects. Let's call them community projects. Now we've seen this before on the Silver Run Forest, I think it was called, or Silver... I think it's called that. To be honest, I didn't actually play on it just because I was so focused on other things at the time and I wasn't a massive fan of logging. And I think it was just heavily involved with that. But I know about the kind of roller coaster and stuff like that. You could rebuild up and, bring it to its former glory, you could say. Let's call them community projects, big plans of the respective town to build something monumental. This requires way more time and effort. If your farming operation is not enough for you and you as a farmer want to shape not only fields but an entire town, this might be your endgame kind of goal, I imagine. So Riverbend Springs has a playground project. There's a rather big project by an absent toy maker who doesn't tend to finish his big projects himself but needs some help. He doesn't stop at toy tractors, but his agricultural magnum opus is something else. Grandpa Walter and Noah can tell you more about the actual intention of the projects. So there's 2 hints at NPCs there. We've already heard about Grandpa Walter, but we've not heard about Noah, but they can tell us more. So, as you're exhausting their dialogue and they're doing the small talk, you can learn a bit about this kind of Riverbend Springs massive project, which is to build a playground. Yeah, it's interesting. It's good to try out. So it says here, under construction, nothing to see here yet. Emotionally prepare yourself to deliver a whole range of resources over multiple stages until this one is finished. We don't reveal it here just yet. And then the one for Hutan Pantai is Temple Grounds. Now, we've seen these pictures of it finished. I believe we have anyway, because it kind of looks like, it definitely was kind of hinted and teased. I didn't realize it was something we had to obviously produce or construct, but the pictures were definitely there on that original preview of the Asia map. So it's keeping the aesthetics of what their ancestors once built here, and then you can see some pictures. So I'll just throw a couple of them up right now so you can see through them, and you can see what the end goal is as well. It does actually look pretty good. It's a lot of work, I imagine, but not a bad side little quest. And I think these are more where the quests kind of come into, or construction missions. And I do like the fact they've put them in, because it gives people that love logging or like something a little bit different from just standing up and down in a field kind of thing to add to the game. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. So now they've moved on to collectibles. So it says, by the way, there are some collectibles to be found all around the region. They will be displayed in the temples as soon as they are built. We call them crop orbs because they're orbs with crop inside. Now you can see pictures of them now. I'll put them up so you can see them properly. But what I'm understanding from this is it's like when you've built the temple, or when you've built maybe on Riverbend Springs, there'll be something else, which we'll see in a second. These items are like actual collectibles that display. So the more you pick up, or if you get them all, for example, then the construction, especially of this temple area, is going to just have all these collectibles scattered around. It's like their final resting place when you've picked them up, which I do like the idea of. We've seen that in other games as well. So Riverbend Springs has got the Grain Elevator Museum. Now we've seen this so much. This picture's been scouted about for a long time. Pretty much from when FS25 was announced, around that time we saw pictures of this museum. We saw it at FarmCon to give a good kind of presentation of it. But it is a construction mission, which we kind of gathered, but I didn't know it was a museum. It's not going to be functional. It is a museum. So since Riverbend Springs used to be a place full of good old wooden grain elevators, there's even one left. Unfortunately, it's in pretty rough shape because it hasn't been used in a long time. Now, I'll skip through them first 3 pictures because we've seen that, but this is what it looks like when it's finished. And I don't think we've seen this picture before. I might be wrong, but I don't think we have. That's in its finished form, so that's what we're going to bring it back to. As historic as the grain elevator itself, there are various objects of agricultural significance tucked away around Riverbend Springs. How did they get there? Well, there's a history to it. Maybe Walter can clear it up if you decide to talk to him, and he happens to bring it up. So all these items that have kind of should have been in this historical grain elevator have scattered around the place, a bit like what I just told you before about the collectibles. As soon as you find them, they're going to get stored in this museum when you've rebuilt it. So again, just a little bit of a side quest for you to do maybe. Not too bad of an idea. Again, interacts with NPCs. I think it's not a bad starting point. Don't mind rebuilding that. I think it's a nice little challenge. Going around the map, finding all the collectibles. Hopefully there's not too many, but it's worth a challenge, I guess. So it carries on and says, as if all this old stuff belongs in a museum. Guess what? The old grain elevator, when renovated, will become a museum for these interesting remnants of times gone by. So yeah, not bad at all. But this is something I am super excited for. I've wanted stuff like this in the game for pretty much just when I started playing it. Like I said, start from scratch. This is perfect. We can build our own houses. And I love the idea of this because, a start from scratch, you actually start from scratch without anything. You've got a tractor, whatever, you're making money, doing the login, and you've got all the old equipment, but then you build your own farmhouse as well from the login. There's a reason to do the login now. It reminds me of the survival games that I've loved to play, like, like Icarus and so on, where you do the login, you're doing this to build something that you can play on. that you can actually live in or use as, it's a resource. It is a proper resource management at that point. But let's read through it. If you're looking for a new home, build one. There are some new additional farmhouses and barns available. So it isn't just farmhouses, it is barns, but we don't actually see a barn picture in this kind of selection of pictures. But there is some really nice houses to build, and they're all houses that we can enter inside as well. But you cannot just buy them and place them down. You have to supply the resources first. So I imagine you've got it in the construction menu. It might not cost much money. You say, I want to build this house. You put it where you want it to be built. Maybe the fences go up and some other bits and bobs. But then as time goes by, we can, just kind of feed the resources that it needs, and it starts to construct. I mean, that's super cool. I know I won't be the only one thinking this, but that is something that a lot of people are going to want to do. So I think that is a farmhouse. So I was looking at that thinking, is that a barn? But no, it's definitely a farmhouse. You can see a different style, though, in this picture. And then this must be another one. I don't know if it's the same one. Doesn't look like it because it hasn't got the chimney. Yeah, but it's definitely a finished one. So it carries on saying you want to go in, go ahead. When the construction site is cleaned up, you can enter your new home. Maybe your multiplayer friends will want to check it out with you. Check it out when you are brainstorming the next steps on the fields for the day. But if we go through the pictures here, you can see that's a quite modern house that we can build. Inside as well, what it looks like. Another style modern house, what it looks like again inside. And then look at this one, this grain one. Like that looks like a grain silo that we turn into a house. I really like the idea of that. And this is what it looks like inside. So I'll throw them up now on the video, all the pictures of the houses, just so you can get an idea of them, what they look like. There's going to be barns as well. It does state that, but we haven't seen any pictures of it yet. But I think this is a really good addition to the game, and it's something that I want to try out, do a start from scratch, build my own farms, build my own barns, actually supply the resources to them so they're not just, I pay the money, it's done. I mean, I think that's the best way to go about it, especially when we're playing on games where we're actually doing logging, we're chopping down trees. It just makes sense for Giants to go in that direction. So then it ends the blog just by saying, coming soon on the blog, maybe production chains, or GPS, or ground deformation, we'll see. So that's kind of a hint at maybe some blogs that are definitely going to happen, or it's at least one of them anyway that's going to be the next one. But I'd say I'd like to see something on production change now. I'm not too fussed about GPS. We've seen enough of it at FarmCon for me to understand the gist of it. And ground deformation, I want to see more of. I want to see more of it. I want it to be explained in better detail. Because I think we need to get that information before FS25 comes out, just to see how it actually plays about in the game. So I'm hoping to get ground deformation and the production chains blogs. And then, as soon as I get them, I'll bring the news out to everyone that's watching. But let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm excited for the farmhouses, the builds. The NPCs is not a bad idea, but I am torn on 50-50 at the moment just to seeing what it's going to be like. I think it's going to be one of them things that's just going to maybe a little bit boring very quick, just because there's not enough interaction for me. Yes, we can speak to them. Yes, we can hear the dialogue. But when that's exhausted, they're just going to be, standing by front doors? Are they going to be moving around the map? There's just so many things that I need to find out before I say, that's a really good idea. What I'd like to see, I'm not just going to criticize and say that without saying what I would want that to be. I'd want them to be NPCs like a farmer, for example, like a neighboring farmer that helps you to maybe wants a helping hand. So he said, can you help me harvest this field? Can you go and do some baling for me? He has a problem maybe and asks for, assistance. Maybe it's like, my tractor's broken down. Can you just bring your tractor around and finish this job for me? Some kind of story mission, but I don't expect it to be a vast story. Just give me some maybe like random encounters that we get in other kind of role play games and stuff like that would just enhance that character. And I also think it's really important that they don't just stay static. So I'm hoping that they roam around. I understand that if it's maybe like a sheep farmer, that they're going to be a lot of the time by this kind of sheep paddock, whatever. But I'd like it if they got a home and they travel there at night. And, it doesn't have to be too sophisticated. They just get in a car, they drive a single route each day, and they go home. And then in the morning they get out, they go one place, maybe stop at the sheep paddock again, and then that's it. It just needs to be kind of a repeated routine where we see him roaming around the house, because you're playing the game, you look to your left and you go, oh, there's Grandpa going to the thing that he's done 5 million times. I don't mind that. But if they're just static outside the house, that's when I'll think to myself that, yeah, I think this could have been done better. So I'm 50-50. I like the idea of it. I think it's a great starting point from Giants. I'm going to applaud them for that. And thinking outside the box, thinking we're going to put NPCs into the game. And I like the fact they've actually got dialogue. I think that's important. It's not just it's not just text in a box. It is actual dialogue as well. But I would also like it to be a bit more like because they go on about wanting to make the map feel more like more live to it. The way to do that is make them have their own routines. Let them travel. Let them go from A to B without our interaction. And that will then enhance that. So I'm hoping at least they've done that. And if they have, then I'll be like, yep, this is a good idea. But if they are static, stay there, their dialogue becomes exhausted very quick, then for me, they've missed out on what it potentially could be. So that's my opinion on it. So let me know what yours is in the comment section. I do appreciate everyone's opinion and comments. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one on Farming Simulator. See you, everybody.